Take the G away from glamour, and you're left with love. Well, that's what the surprise subject of this edition of This Is Your Life, the Classics, had lots of, to give and to receive. And on the road, no less. Let's watch Glamour and Lamour get it all together in this live This Is Your Life classic from 1953.
On behalf of the Key Club International of Kiwanis, it is a great pleasure to make a wonderful award to a very, very great man, Ralph Edwards. So, Ralph, march yourself out here, will you please?
Yeah, Dorothy. What a beautiful gal.
Oh, Ralph. You know, each year, the thousands of Key Club boys choose the person who, through his ability, personality, and circumstances, has done most for humanity. The 25,000 boy members of the Key Club International have voted that you, Ralph Edwards, an ex-Key Clubber, exemplify these characteristics better than anyone else. So with great pleasure, I present the 1954 Sandy Nininger Key Club Award to you, Ralph Edwards. Would you hand me the award? I'll wait till
There's the award. All right, we'll get it on stage. To all the young fellows of Key Club everywhere, an inspiring group of teenagers, my heartfelt thanks, and thanks to you, Dorothy Lamour. Don't worry about there being no award. Kids.
Well, there is an award, Ralph. And thank you.
Thank you, darling.
I'll see you.
We will. Don't go away. We have a well-deserved accolade for you, too. 50 million viewers are waiting for us to say that tonight, Dorothy Lamour, this is your life!
Everything with me. You introduced me to people.
We have a whole cast of people from another lady's life out backstage there. 7 people, sons,
Where's
uncles.
the lady in the blue dress?
She doesn't exist. You're the lady, baby. You're one girl we had to go all out to fool, Dottie, and I'm proud of the Key Club Award, and we're all proud to have you, Dorothy Lamour, as our honored guest. Now, come on, sit over.
Round-the-clock classics, now 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. AMC, we bring back the feeling.
I've never tasted anything so good in all my life. How do you make
In movie classics.
This is your life, Dorothy Lamour. Life begins for you in New Orleans. Your daddy, no longer living, was John Slayton. Your mother, Carmen Laporte. You're christened Mary Lita Dorothy Slayton. For a while during baby days, you live in tent number 1 at Camp McClellan, Alabama, your father's army post.
When Dorothy was only 2 years old, she ran away from home saying she was going to find another mother here.
The first and most important voice in your life, Dorothy, who is it, dear?
That's my mother, but she's not supposed to have makeup on.
She's supposed to be visiting the sick children today, isn't she, and not have makeup on. Well, you and your mother, Carmen, because of the fire, you mean she isn't supposed to have makeup on. Well, we'll see how that turned out. I don't know. Anyhow, you and Mother, Carmen, are one of the most devoted mother-daughter teams in Hollywood. Real pals. Here she is, Mrs. Carmen Castleberry. Listen, why did Dorothy decide? Oh, you look sensational. You know, she was in quite a little fire out here, but Mommy looks terrific.
Fine.
Why did Dorothy decide to run away at age 2, Mrs. Castleberry?
Well, she was naughty one day, and I sat her in the corner, Ralph, and she decided she'd go and get a new mother dear.
Oh?
So I took one of her little dresses and tied it in a diety and tied it to a stick.
Yeah.
And away she went up the street.
And down the company street you marched, Dottie, with your 3-cornered sarong, you know. It should have been your first on-the-road picture, shouldn't it? Nobody had a camera, though. Do you remember what made you run back home? You probably don't. Why did she run back home?
Do you remember? No, she couldn't.
Yeah?
A soldier told her that Kaiser Bill would get her if she didn't go home.
Well, except for this time at your father's army camp, New Orleans was home.
Remember the basket of groceries you won in New Orleans for singing in the amateur show, Dorothy?
John!
But you didn't get home with the groceries.
Another voice from girlhood days. From New Orleans, you're right. Here is one of the dearest persons in the world to you, your cousin, Mrs. Jean Desautel.
John!
What happened to those missing groceries? Mrs. Desautel's, come up here where we can see you, dear.
Do you remember what happened to
Don't you get
them? Don't you remember what happened to the missing groceries? The bad boys took them away from you?
He beat me
Where
up
did she
and
win
took
them?
away.
How did she win them?
She won them at her first talent contest in New Orleans.
Is that
She was
so?
about 6 years old.
I went to the movie that night, and they had an amateur show on, and Mother couldn't afford to go with me, and I don't think Jean could either. So they let me go into the movie, and I was there, and I got up and sang some kind of a song, and I was about that big, and I won these groceries, and we needed them at the time.
Some big kid beat you up and took them away from you? How do you like that? Well, what about Dottie's 8th birthday when she so much wanted a doll, Miss Desautel?
Well, there wasn't any money to buy her a doll, but her mother had a little charge account at the grocery store and thought she could get her one there. But the grocer didn't have a thing for a little girl, and Dottie got a football.
Well, just to think. Thank you, Mother, Mrs. Castleberry, and cousin Mrs. Jean Desautel. They'll see you a little later, sweetie. That's it. They'll see you a little later on. So much of your life we're going to run along.
I guess that football trained me for Hope and Crosby.
The football trainer for Hope and Crosby, she said. Thus, in childhood, you faced situations that build character. You were poor, but didn't know you were poor because your bright dreams made the streets of old New Orleans seem paved with stars. At 15, you entered the Miss New Orleans Beauty Contest. You have a $2.49 bathing suit, but the officials ruled that the girls must parade in fancy dresses, too. Now, all you have is a little old blue linen dress. What do you do about that, Dottie?
Well, I wanted to not go into the contest, and Mother said, you're going to go into it. So I left the little suitcase with my bathing suit at the hotel where the contest was going to be in the ballroom. And when I came back and I opened the suitcase, there was a horseshoe in it. I still don't know who gave me that horseshoe.
Okay.
It's hanging in my home today.
Is that... And you had to change... Some lady loaned you a dress, too,
Yes, that's right. I'm so nervous.
That's all right. A woman saw you in the dress just before you went up to be judged, and she exchanged dresses with you,
That's
Dottie,
right.
and you won. Now, if that particular woman hadn't loaned you her dress, you might never have been Miss New Orleans of 1931. Your life is filled with such well-timed sequences of events, Dottie. For example. Move over. Who's nervous? For example, how did you happen to go to Chicago? What about
Well, that's
an
a
old
long...
beau?
It's a long story, though.
Can you tell it? That's what I want to
Had a beau
know.
by the name of Cully Anderson,
Yeah.
who lived in Sycamore, Illinois, and if he's watching, or his wife is watching, please forgive me. That romance has been over for a long time.
All right,
But
Cully, you can breathe easy.
I decided to go to Chicago. I thought somebody gave me a letter of introduction to somebody up there, and to get a job, and that's the way I...
You went to visit his folks there, and you set off with a $1 bill and 2 Hershey bars. And then to prolong your visit in Chicago, you decide to get a job, as you say. So you apply at Marshall Field and Company, one of Chicago's leading department stores.
That day, Mr. Kettler called me and said, Marshall Field has a reputation for having beautiful girls as elevator operators. I'm sending one down to you that will prove the reputation true.
A voice from those days in Chicago when you were 16 years old, Dorothy. Can you tell us who that is?
Mary Youtsinger.
A fellow employee with you at Marshall Field. Here she is, Mrs. Mary Youtsinger. Mary, come on. Miss Youtsinger, how did Dorothy get along running an elevator, huh?
I'm not crying.
How did she get along running an
To tell you
elevator?
the truth, Mr. Edwards,
Yeah.
the instructor didn't think she was going to make the grade.
Oh?
She was so nervous, but when she became relaxed, she was all right and really turned out to be an excellent operator.
You know, I can still run one, Mary.
I remember she used to make us laugh, Mr. Edwards. She'd say, I'm going to have to look for myself another job because the escalators are going to put me out of business.
Well, there's one voice I'll bet she'll never forget, a voice that made her snap to attention.
All right, Dolly Face. You're still on duty. Your car next.
Whose voice, Dorothy, you probably don't know. It's your old-time boss at Marshall Field, head at that time of all elevator operators there. You haven't seen him in over 15 years, Mr. Douglas Singletary.
I was going to say, oh,
Oh, what's your memory of Dolly Face here, as you used to call her, Doug Singletary?
Well, sir, this gal could sweet-talk me out of any job. She spent all her time auditioning around Chicago.
Auditions that eventually pay off, as we shall see. Thank you, Douglas Singletary, and thank you, Mary Utzinger. Join the cast. Life keeps rolling by. 1932 now, Dottie. You've been at Marshall Field for nearly a year. The plot of your life is about to spin forward again. Now, if you hadn't met Cully Anderson, you see, you wouldn't be in Chicago. If you hadn't been in Chicago, you wouldn't have seen Dorothy Dell when she was there with the Ziegfeld Follies. Tell us who Dorothy Dell was.
Dorothy Dell was a very close friend of mine in New Orleans who won the title of Miss Universe, Miss America and Miss Universe.
That's right. She later lost her life in an automobile
She
accident.
came out here, she would have been a very big star, and she lost her life in an automobile accident.
But here in 1932, Miss Dell remembers the singing you used to do at amateur events back home. And she gets an idea.
Miss Dell asked me if a hometown friend of hers might have a chance to appear at one of our celebrity nights. I agreed to listen to this girl and do what I could for her.
Tell us whose voice it is, Dorothy.
Dorothy Goldman!
One of the most important people in your whole life. In 1932, she was in charge of publicity for the Morrison Hotel, Chicago. Here she is, head of her own publicity firm. From New York, your good friend, Dorothy Goldman. There she is. Can't hold it. Let's see you, Dorothy. On this side, Dorothy.
She's much prettier than I am.
I don't know. That'd be hard to decide. I'm not going to take the vote right now. Miss Goldman, were you impressed?
You make me laugh. Remember the radio show we did?
We heard about that, yes. Some things, you know, we just don't have time for, girls. Miss Goldman, were you impressed with Dorothy when she sang for you?
Very much so, Mr. Edwards. I arranged for her to appear at my next celebrity party at the Morrison Hotel. Unfortunately for Dottie, every celebrity in town showed up that night, many more than I had counted on. And by the time it was Dottie's turn to sing, the audience didn't pay very much attention to her.
And I forgot the lyrics.
And when you came back to our table that night, you couldn't keep the tears out of your eyes, Dottie, remember?
A young man had heard you sing. It was Herbie Kay.
That's right, Herbie
And
Kay.
he had dropped in at the Morrison. Is that
right.
right? And what happened?
Well, he heard me, and he asked me to come around for an audition the next day to be a girl singer with his orchestra.
And the next day was pretty exciting, too, wasn't it, Miss
Very
Goldman?
exciting. Dottie went over for the audition, and she won the job, her first professional singing job, as a featured vocalist with Herbie Kay's famous orchestra.
Thank you, Dorothy Goldman. Thank you, darling. You see you later.
Oh, I'm sorry.
American movie classics.
Your career opens in 1932 as vocalist with the Herbie Kay Orchestra. Soon you feel like a fairy princess indeed when you and the famous band leader are married. Before Herbie Kay's untimely death, you travel all over the United States with the orchestra. 1935, you're appearing at Sherman Billingsley's famous Stork Club in New York.
That's right.
Your mother being ill is in California for her health. Wanting to be with her, you come west and take a nightclub singing job. Now, what club was that, Dottie? Do you remember?
The Clover Club.
Once more, you step out into a spotlight to sing. Not knowing that someone is in the audience, you'll change your whole life.
You missed a great
At
name.
Paramount Pictures, we had to find a girl for a big jungle picture. Dorothy looked to me as if she could make lions and tigers eat right out of her
A
hand.
voice from 18 years ago, Dottie, do you remember it? At that time, he was head of the talent department at Paramount Pictures. The man who heard you sing at the Clover Club that night, long ago, your friend, Mr. Jack Boshin. And here is Jack. Colonel Votion, a lot of other girls. She is thrilled indeed to see you. A lot of other girls have been tested for Jungle Princess, hasn't they, Colonel Votion?
Yes, quite a few, Mr. Edwards.
He
had
held
been
me up
taken.
this way 2 years ago.
They really had, Mr. Edwards. However, Dorothy's test by peculiar coincidence was made on a Friday 13th and on state 13th.
Is that a
Did you think you had any chance after
My
that?
lucky day.
Is it?
But
I'm not superstitious.
producer Lloyd Sheldon
Yes.
decided on you the moment he saw you.
And Jungle Princess, by the way, which was intended to be a B picture, became a smash hit and made Dorothy a star overnight.
Thank you, Colonel Jack Votion. Thank you, sir. There's music to remember you by. With your first picture, Dorothy, the public falls in love with you. Hollywood has discovered a great new talent and a gold mine. Your pictures are consistently big money makers, topped by the hilarious road pictures with your pals Bing Crosby and Bob Hope. Road to Zanzibar, Road to Morocco, Road to Utopia, and many, many others. Now, Dorothy, we could have lined the stage 50 deep with stars in your life. You know that. But it is behind the scenes of your pictures that your real story lies. Few stars in Hollywood history have won the devotion of so many of her fellow workers.
I speak for the working people of the movies. Wardrobe, script girls, electrician, grips, props, and the whole crew. Dorothy has always made all of us feel as important to a picture as if we too were stars.
You recognize that voice, Dorothy?
I know it.
Your hairdresser on many of your biggest pictures, Elaine Stone. Elaine Stone. Now, Elaine, your case is a fine example
Hair up in there.
of why Dottie is so well liked by everyone on the set. You had polio, which had seriously affected one of your legs. Is that correct?
Yes, and Dottie saw me fall a couple of times. So she kept after me to find out if I could have an operation that would help.
I did not. I laughed at you. Just to tease you and make you get up and not feel
It's
bad
wonderful
about it.
psychology, Dottie. Well, what about this girl?
Then she made me make arrangements for an operation through the Motion Picture Relief Fund.
I see, but still you put off the operation. Elaine.
Yes, because I couldn't keep my house going and take care of my obligations while I was off work.
Yeah.
So Dottie went through the whole studio and personally collected over $1,000.
Uh-huh.
She herself contributed generously.
Mm-hmm.
She sent it to me at the hospital with a big valentine signed by all my friends.
Yeah.
If it hadn't been for Dorothy Lamour and the man upstairs, I wouldn't be walking today.
Yes. Here's that Valentine that was, inscribed by all the people. And that's the way your fellow workers feel about you, Dottie. The front office feels the same way. And here's the head man at Paramount Pictures, Mr. Y. Frank Freeman.
Oh, no!
Thank you, Ralph.
I want to hear him make a speech in Spanish now with his southern accent. That's the only
Dorothy?
thing that makes me laugh.
This is a great privilege to speak for the people, the workers at Paramount. They love you. You brought a team spirit to Paramount. We still have your creed. Loyalty to your fellow worker, loyalty to your job. No one will ever take the place in the hearts of the workers of Paramount of Dorothy Lamour. God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Y. Frank Freeman. And thank you, Elaine Stone. During the war, there are constant USO tours and bond drives. You personally, Dottie, raised $300 million to help your country's cause. Meanwhile, there's no real romance to your life, not until 1942, when you were resting up from a bond tour at Arrowhead Springs, California.
Two of my pals had dinner with Dottie, and they wouldn't even introduce me. But I was the one who took her home.
I picked him up.
Yeah, no need to ask you that, boy, says Dorothy. He was a lieutenant in the Army Air Force when you met him, now in the petroleum industry and partner in your many enterprises, your beloved husband, William Howard III. Had the happiest of marriages, blessed by two fine sons. Tommy, whose 5th birthday is today, and Ridgely, age 9. Now, there's been one great crisis in your... There's a picture of the kiddies there. There's been one great crisis in your lives together, Bill.
It sure has, Ralph. In 1950, Ridgely was stricken with encephalitis.
Yes.
And we took him to the Children's Hospital here in Hollywood. And the doctors finally, after a lot of consultations, said he was slipping away and needed a transfusion of type A whole blood immediately.
Type A, whole blood, needed fast, and no donor available. Now, as you pray for Ridgely's life, you recall a conversation you had with a fellow worker during the war, a conversation about types of blood, and you make a desperate phone call, Dottie.
Well, I never bothered much to check with my telephone message service in those days, but on that one night, by a miracle, I happened to phone in and I got a Dottie's message.
Now, whose voice, Dorothy?
Harry Ray.
Yeah, the guy who made you up tonight. By a miracle, he happened to get your call, and your memory was right. He did have type A blood, one of those friends you had made by being a real gal. Your makeup man at Paramount, who has come in specially from location where he's at work on the Martin and Lewis picture, You're Never Too Young, Harry Ray.
I used to call him Skinny, and he calls me Blubber.
What about
Well, I remember she called me and I went to the hospital. I thought she was kidding.
Yeah.
And I went down there, and there she was. I said, well, how are they going to get blood from me? I weighed 118 pounds. I
We
said,
used to
you're
call
welcome.
him No Blood.
And you gave your blood to Ridgely.
What I had, yeah.
Yeah, Harry, even though Bob Hope said that you were the only man who went to the blood bank and found yourself overdrawn. Thank you, Harry Ray. Thank you very much. Now, this boy of yours is the picture of health today. And here he is, your son, Ridgely. Come on up, and your younger son, Tommy. Here's Tommy. It's Tommy's birthday, and here from Camp Pendleton, Bill's boy, to whom you've been a second mother, Marine Private William Howard IV. Come on out, Bill. Hey! Bill, that day when Moms and Dad saw you off on a trip, what was it you told Dottie to look for in the bed at home?
Well, Mr. Edwards, I'd left a dictionary there on the bed, and it was turned to the word stepson. And I
Or stepmother, wasn't it?
Stepmother,
Yes.
And I crossed that word out, and I said, because there's no such word that pertains to Mama.
I see. This is your life, Dorothy Lamour. Just sit here with the kids, business at the side. Here's your past and present gathering around you, testimony to a life of friendship, humility, and love.
Round the Clock Classics. AMC. We bring back the feeling.
Today on American Movie Classics.
Now, your future begins right after the show at the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, where there's a big party in your honor. And, of course, you'll have a film of this with a Bell & Howell projector to play it on. And the highlights of your life are in this beautiful Marshall Jewelers gold charm bracelet there. You know, they're on Fifth Avenue, New York. That's one of the most beautiful we ever had. Here's Bob and Bing on earrings there. And in your name, we're presenting to the convalescent wing of Children's Hospital here in Los Angeles, the hospital where your son Ridgely made his happy recovery, this 27-inch Admiral console television set. And Gleam is sure you'll be happy over a tribute to you from your friends at Marshall Field and Company in Chicago. They've made this special plaque for you, and it'll be hung right there. It reads, has a wonderful inscription all about you. There it is. And I think our time's about up here. We're going to have to run. Finally, as a lasting tribute from your countless friends in the movie industry, Gleam is having a large-size This Is Your Life album made for you. It'll be signed personally by every employee at Paramount for you. Your countless friends are the ornaments of a shining life. By giving your heart away, you've won the hearts of others. This is Your Life. Dorothy Lamour, good night, and God bless you. There you are.
What a wonderful personality. Dorothy Lamour. Imagine starting out winning a bag of groceries in a talent contest and ending up with Hope and Crosby. As you can see from our classic series, there's no set way to the top. Be sure to join us for the next surprising This Is Your Life, the Classics. And thanks for being with us. Ralph Edwards, until the next time.